We will be conducting tonight's meeting in person as well as in a virtual setting using Zoom. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting tonight on WAVE Channel 18 and online through the city's YouTube channel. If you would like to participate in live public comment via Zoom platform, please refer to the agenda for instructions. Chair Hutchinson will begin the meeting momentarily.
Good evening. I'd like to call the June 19th, 2024 City of Lincoln Regular Planning Commission meeting to order. And a roll call, please.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson, Commissioner McKinney, Commissioner Reedy, Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Here.
Chair Hutchinson.
Here.
Then it looks like Whitney Eklund just got here. Commissioner Eklund.
Thank you. And Commissioner Eric Johnson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any agenda modifications this evening? Hearing none, I thank you. The next item on the agenda is the public comment on non-agenda items. With the current subject matters, when we have open comments, you're always free to address that agenda item. This is an opportunity to address non-agenda items. And do we have any comments, any hands raised for anyone that wishes to address the commission?
No, there are no hands raised on Zoom, and I have not received any comment cards.
Thank you very much. The next item is informational items from staff.
We have no informational items.
Thank you. Next item is disclosure of ex parte communication. I'll start with my colleague to my left. Thank you.
I had a teleconference earlier today with Tony Frazier and Ina Miller regarding Stardust.
Thank you.
I have none to report.
Thank you. Whitney?
I have none to report.
I have none.
I have none.
Thank you. And I had an email exchange with Tony Frazier last week. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. All matters on the consent agenda are considered routine business and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the request to remove a specific item for separate action is received, and I do have one. Any items removed will be considered after the remainder of the consent agenda. Do any of my colleagues wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I request that we remove item 8C.
Thank you. Therefore, do I have a motion to accept the balance of the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. All right. Commissioner Jerry Johnson, you wish to have the item 8C pulled, which deals with the Hidden Hills project and the Design Review Board information.
Yes, there were three elevations of housing plans that were processed. And if you've noticed, the front elevations of all three of those designs have sort of a predominance of garage. A garage takes up, in one case, 2/3, in another cases, half the space in front of that. And I just remind the commission that under the land use element in the general plan 2.9, under innovative design, it says, the city shall encourage the use of alleys and side-loaded garages to de-emphasize the garage as the prominent visual feature of the residence. And some people say that this is something that we would like to see. I would point out that since 2008, I don't believe there's been a single side-loaded garage or alley development in the city. So if we're going to encourage this alternative design, innovative design, then I think staff needs to come up with some kind of incentive, or we need to change the wording so that it's no longer an option. I don't like that latter approach because I think in some cases it's just not practical. If it's a small lot subdivision, alley might be appropriate, but again, we haven't seen that. But absence the alley, it's not practical to have a side-loaded garage on a small lot. So I think the key is how do we encourage this? And apparently we haven't been doing a very good job of that.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. If memory serves me correctly, I think about 2 months ago, we addressed this issue with garages in front, and at that time it was deemed that they were certainly acceptable here. Do I have any other comments before I call for a motion? Seeing none, do I have a motion to accept?
Move approval of the item.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other comments? May I have a roll call, please?
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
No.
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. Thank you. The item is approved, six in favor and 1 no. The next item on the agenda deals with public hearings. Our first item for public hearings is the project Full Throttle Airport Hangar, and regarding a design review application for the construction and operation of 2 box hangars and 3 T-hangar buildings with associated on-site improvements at the Lincoln Regional Airport. And could we please hear from staff?
Excuse me, Chair Hutchinson, I need to ask to be recused from this project for Senate Bill 1438. 1438.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're excused. All right.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Efren Sanchez, Senior Planner with Community Development Department. The project we have before you is a design review application for the construction and operation of 2 box hangars and 3 T hangars buildings with associated on-site improvements at the Lincoln Regional Airport. The proposed project entails construction of a combined 100,000 square feet of new aircraft hangars with the capacity of holding 66 aircrafts divided amongst the 5 buildings. The project was submitted by Executive Hangars of Lincoln, LLC. The approximate 13-acre project site is located within the boundaries of the Lincoln Regional Airport, adjacent to other existing airplane hangars in the central portion of the airport as illustrated on this aerial map. The 725 acres of airport is owned and operated by the City of Lincoln. 5 acres of the project site is undisturbed land, while the remaining 8 acres is existing paved apron area. The project has a general plan land use designation of industrial plan development and is zone industrial plan development within the Lincoln Regional Airport Master Plan area. In addition to the building footprint outlined in this slide, the proposed project will include construction access, temporary staging area within the existing paved apron, and a proposed sewer pipeline. Each unit will have a water bib and electrical hookups. Only the box hangars will have individual sewer hookups. The proposed T hangars will be constructed with 14 feet eave heights, which is consistent with the adjacent green T hangars that were constructed back in 2012. So as you can see here on the site plan, I could point out to you, the box hangars are these ones in the front. And then these are the T hangars. So they're called T hangars because you can reverse in an airplane and the wings of it, are the wider part of the T. So yeah, learned that. The project site is located within the Lincoln Regional Airport, which is governed by the Lincoln Regional Airport Master Plan. The master plan addresses ongoing airport operation and identifies long-range plans for construction. For instance, a runway extension to the existing runway, allowing for a broader range of jets to utilize the airport. The master plan also calls for the construction of 3,000 foot parallel second runway east of the primary runway, construction of the airport control tower, development of arrival departure buildings, and jet center hangar buildings were also identified as potential facilities within the airport. The Lincoln Regional Airport Master Plan includes an airport layout plan, which is a drawing showing existing facilities and future planned improvements. The Federal Aviation Administration requires that airport sponsors, which in this case is the City of Lincoln, to keep the airport land use plan current with the existing conditions and include future growth of the facility. The FAA has the authority to regulate all aspects of civil aviation. It provides standards and guidelines for development of the airport, such as the proposed project. The Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan is another policy document, which ensures that development surrounding the airport is compatible with the airport and is not hindering on its operation. The proposed project will result in the development of hangars in an area of the airport that was previously contemplated for additional hangars in the 2008 Master Plan and Certified EIR. The only difference is that in the 2008 Airport Layout Plan figure, you can see that the depicted hangars are in a slightly different configuration from the current 2020 Airport Land Use Plan. As you can see on the slide, the proposed project will implement a portion of the 2020 airport layout plan outlined in red. You can see here's a box hangar. So this was already contemplated, in 2018, it looked like this configuration, but then in 2020, the layout was revised to look more like this. And the proposed project site is in the same similar configuration as what was anticipated. The design of the hangar buildings is regulated by both the Lincoln Regional Airport Master Plan and the Airport Layout Plan. According to the master plan, hangar storage facilities constructed should include T hangars for light twin engines, single-engine aircrafts, box hangars for larger aircrafts, and corporate hangars for the larger business jets. The master plan also mentions how there is a significant need for both T hangars and conventional hangars, and that the existing airport apron is larger than needed. Portions of that apron could be used for the development of future hangars. The project will use the same design, color, and materials currently used by adjacent hangars. The project conforms to the criteria regarding to development standards, aesthetics, colors, and materials. The project plan while conceptually are sufficient for verifying conformance with the design and development standards found in the master plan. The Design Review Board typically reviews design applications for commercial buildings and production homes. The Community Development Department Director determined that the DRB review was not needed as the proposed project is simple design contained within the airport and must conform with the master plan. The proposed project has been determined to include minor layout changes and would not substantially modify or increase potential development of the site from what was previously anticipated and analyzed. Therefore, an addendum to the certified EIR has been prepared as attachment 3. The addendum includes minor modifications to mitigation measures pertaining to biological resources to ensure consistency with the Placer County Conservation Plan. The measures were revised to ensure that the pre-construction surveys, payment of land conversion fees, and obtaining necessary permits to fill waters of the U.S. are conducted consistent with the Placer County Conservation Plan requirements. The proposed changes would not result in any new environmental impact or an increase to the severity of the previously identified impacts that would require major revisions to the original 2008 certified EIR. The proposed project will result in the development of airplane hangars in an area of the Lincoln Regional Airport that was previously contemplated for the development of additional hangars. The City of Lincoln has determined that the EIR certified for the Airport Master Plan project remains relevant to the proposal, given the limited nature of the proposed changes and the airport hangar configuration. The addendum and related attachments constitute adequate evidence that none of the conditions identified in section 15162 as CEQA guidelines are present, and therefore the preparation of a subsequent or additional supplemental or subsequent EIR is not required prior to the approval of this proposed entitlement. So the Placer County Conservation Program, short for PTCP, was developed to coordinate and streamline state and federal regulatory permitting process regarding natural resources. The City of Lincoln is a participating jurisdiction in the PTCP as a permittee. The PTCP includes Habitat Conservation Plan, HCP, pursuant to Section 10 of the Federal Endangered Species Act, and is a Natural Community Conservation Plan, NCCP, under the California Natural Communities Conservation Planning Act. The PCCP also includes the County Aquatic Resource Program, short for CARP, to streamline the issuance of permits related to Section 404 of the Federal Clean Water Act and stream bed alteration agreements pursuant to the California Fish and Game Code. The proposed project impacts related to biological resources remain less than significant with the mitigation measures, and no new or substantial more severe impacts of biological resource have been identified. The project addendum includes updates to mitigation measures language to ensure the consistency with the PCCP and continue to reduce impacts to a less than significant level. So in a nutshell, the PCC process is good for development as it streamlines all the natural resource permitting processes that all these different state and federal agencies require of a project into one single process. So it saves both time and money. The proposed project complies with the city's general plan, Lincoln Municipal Code, Lincoln Regional Airport Master Plan, and the 2020 Airport Layout Plan. The proposed use is permitted on site with approval of the design review application. This entitlement also serves as a mechanism for approving and adopting the proposed addendum. The analysis in the addendum prepares for the project demonstrates that there are no site-specific or peculiar impacts associated with the project beyond that what was previously analyzed in the EIR. Uniformly applied standards and policies will be applied to this project as conditions of approval. Well, that leads us to our recommendations. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve and adopt the proposed addendum pursuant to CEQA Section 15162, and also adopt the resolution approving the design review application for Project Full Throttle with project-specific and typical conditions of approval. So that concludes my presentations. If the Planning Commission has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Gilbert.
Thank you. Simple questions. Number one, are we fully committed to all of the spaces we have right now?
The hangar spaces? Is that
Yeah.
what you mean? So, I mean, there's still, in my analysis, there was like 250, like, the airport master plan contemplates 250 proposed hangar spaces, and this satisfies 66. So there's still capacity for building more.
Yep, no, let me ask the question again. Of our existing
Okay.
spaces, are we fully leased, or do we have a substantial number
Oh,
that are
okay,
empty?
okay, okay. Yeah.
Hello, Matthew Medill, Public Works Director and Airport Manager. Yes, we are fully leased, and I believe there's a waiting list of approximately 100 applicants on the list.
Answered my second question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to know that when I was on the council, we had about that kind of a demand. We were behind that many, and it looks like we're still about 100 behind. Good, thank you.
Commissioner McKinney?
Yeah, I have a somewhat similar question, and that is, does the lease require it to be used for aircraft? Or can somebody rent it and use it for cars and other types of toys?
I would be more than happy to answer that question, as that seems to be preoccupying a lot of my time these days.
Oh,
Um,
uh-oh, sorry. Okay, well, I have the reason
The
why I asked that.
FAA grant assurances require that any facility on the airport property be used primarily for aeronautical purposes. And so that provision is passed down in the ground lease agreements that we sign with parties that build ground leases, and then it's also passed on to the leases for the tenants of the hangars that are owned by the city. And so we, through code enforcement, have been going through a rather rigorous process of noticing inspections and going through hangars and ensuring that they're being utilized for aeronautical purposes and not for storage of RVs and other miscellaneous items.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner McKinney?
No, that's
Anyone,
fine.
anyone else on the commission that has questions? All right, with that, I would like to open it up for public comments. And Jesse, do we have anyone online with hands raised to speak to this, or any cards that you might have received?
There are no hands raised online, and I haven't received any cards. Did you?
Please come and state your name, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes for us.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Sue, and I am the owner of Executive Hangars of Lincoln.
Right.
So, thank you so very much, Council, for listening to Efren's wonderful presentation. So if you have any more questions, yes, as far as the hangar need, there's at least that I know of on multiple lists, there's in excess of 150 folks that are waiting for hangars at Lincoln. I've actually did some test marketing just recently, about 2 weeks ago. And like I said, it was test marketing. And I just wanted to see how good or how much demand I was going to get. And within 2.5 days, I basically lost my voice. So I had so many people reaching out to me. And my mantra is that I really like to get back to people within a 12-hour period, no longer than 24 hours. So by 2.5 days, my voice was shot. I've had folks from the Bay Area contact me, and they actually have businesses in the Bay Area. And here's the great thing about it. They're willing to move up here. They have plans to move to Lincoln. However, in order for them to move their family and businesses here to start a location 2, they actually need an aircraft hangar. So again, because they don't want to come up here, the owner doesn't want to come up here, start a location 2 and still have the family down in the Bay Area. So it's kind of unique. I've got a lot of calls from folks that actually moved here before 2020. And this lady, she thought she was going to be able to get a hangar, and she has to drive all the way to Vacaville still. And she's like, Ed, I'm getting older. I only have about 7 more years of flying, good flying. And she's like, I need one of your hangars. So the demand is definitely there. And I just want to say thank you so very much for listening to this wonderful project. I mean, it really is a blessing. I think if you know a little bit about the project, it doesn't only serve pilots, but it also serves our future pilots as well, because I'm allotting hangar space to William Jessup. William Jessup has a wonderful, wonderful aspiring program. We have 28 students in the program right now. We just graduated 5 within the program. And they're graduating with their ATP, so they can go off to the military, go fly for the military. They can go fly off to the airlines. And this is the younger generation that's actually going to be flying us around. So I'm really proud to be involved in this project. So thank you.
Thank you. You're a great salesman for the hangars. I think it's a exciting project. With that, do my colleagues have any other questions or comments? And yes,
I'll keep it to 3 minutes. So I just wanted to share one quick thing, because this is like a really unique planning project in one way, because it's very rare that the city is leasing ground for what amounts to sort of a private project. But just to sort of give the commission a little peek behind the curtain as far as the airport goes, this project is super important. It's been a really long time since new hangars were built at the airport. And what we learned when we got into the airport budget and try to think about how we can make this a business that actually works for the city, is that it has nothing to do with leasing grounds. That's a net loser. You can't lease dirt for enough money for it to matter and people to want to actually lease it. What this does, with your potential approval tonight, is that it brings a lot more pilots to our airport who are buying fuel. That's it. And the fuel markup that we were able to capture funds all of the improvements at the airport, and it hopefully will create a more vibrant environment where, you know, you'll start to see more of these types of projects, and there are more coming, many more. So appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments before I close public comments? Seeing none. And again, back to the commission. Any other comments before I call for a motion? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for taking time to invest here in Lincoln and provide this. I know it's been in demand for quite a while, so this is great to see a project going forward. And like our city manager is discussing, there's huge potential at the airport, so I'm very excited to see that continue to grow and develop.
Thank you. I concur. I think it's a very, very exciting project for Lincoln. Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
I was a airport leasee from 2001 to 2008. The only way I was able to get a hangar was to get a sublease from someone who was willing to sublease to me. It was that kind of demand back then. So this is a long time coming, and it's a great project to see.
Great, thank you. I will entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-1. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Gilbert.
No. I want to give you.
Oh, thank you. You're making the motion?
I'm willing, yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that Resolution 2024-16, approving the design review application for Project Full Throttle with project-specific and typical conditions of approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
All right. Thank you.
You
The
can take it.
Johnsons.
Thank you. All right. And may we have a roll,
Johnson can take it.
may we have a roll call, please?
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Reedy,
A very enthusiastic yes.
Chair Hutchinson.
Yes, I second that as well. A very enthusiastic yes. All right. Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is item 9B, Freedom Rent-A-Car, for a conditional use permit for the operation of a rental car service at 561 7th Street. And Efren Sanchez will provide the information to us from the staff.
Yes, hello again. My name is Efren Sanchez. The project we have before you is a conditional use permit for the operation of a car rental service. The project was submitted by Odi Ayala. The project site is located at 561 7th Street in downtown Lincoln, near the southeast corner of 7th Street and F Street. The property has a general plan land use designation of community commercial and is zoned commercial. The project site is surrounded by light industrial, Gliding Meg being to the north, duplex residential to the east, commercial city parking lot to the south, and Far West Rents and Ready Mix to the west. The proposed project will share office space with the existing Allstate Insurance office. Here's a project site plan. As you can see here, this is the 7,000 square foot building, and there's existing 9 parking spots in this parking lot. And according to our Lincoln Municipal Code title, Chapter 18.44 on parking standards, the requirement for a 7,000 square foot commercial building, it's required 1 parking space for every 250 square feet. So this project exceeds that requirement by providing 9 parking spaces when it's only required to have 7. It is anticipated that using the 3 parking spaces for the car rental fleet will not reduce parking space for the primary Allstate office house below the required minimum. Most spaces are usually empty during the day and more so at night. Conditional use permit, the car rental service land use is allowed in commercial zones with the approval of a conditional use permit. This Freedom Rent-A-Car office will handle SERP reservations and returns with a fleet of 3 mid-sized sedan vehicles, such as Honda Accords, Toyota Camrys. The Freedom Rent-A-Car business shall operate between 8 and 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, with the possibility of operating on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The car rental fleet will be washed and inspected off-site at the EC Clean Car Wash facility located at 604 Lincoln Boulevard. All mechanical repairs, including oil and tire maintenance, will be conducted off-site by a third-party vendor in compliance with the Lincoln Municipal Code, Section 18.44320. The use with conditions of approval will not be detrimental to the health, safety, and public welfare of the city. So as part of the conditional use permit applications, there's 4 different findings that need to be made in order to approve a conditional use permit. As such, as you can see here, this is just a brief overview of those requirements. So first of all, the number 1, the use has to be similar in character to the surrounding district. So yeah, The proposed use will provide a service to non-car owners or people having their vehicle serviced. Freedom Rent-A-Car will support other businesses in the area, including the car wash, as previously mentioned, gas stations and retail stores as well. And then, other findings such as the use would be appropriate in the district applicable to the property as permitted or conditionally used. Rental cars help consumers who need a temporary replacement to a car due to accidents, mechanical repairs, theft, or leisure trips. So the proposed use is surrounded by various urban uses, which is compatible. And then the fourth finding on here talks about flood hazard zones, which this project is not in any flood hazard area. So that's not applicable to this. So that leads us to our recommendation. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission determine that the project is exempt from CEQA because the project will involve operation of a car rental business out of an existing commercial building and parking lot. Therefore, no further environmental analysis is required for the request for the conditional use permit. And two, adopt a resolution approving the conditional use permit applicable for the Freedom Rent-A-Car based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval as presented. So that concludes my presentation, and also the applicant's also in the room as well, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Efren. Before I open it to public comments, do any of my colleagues have any questions for staff or comments for staff?
I
Hey,
do.
Yes, please, Commissioner McKinney.
So I heard you say that 3 mid-sized cars, is that the max number of vehicles? Because I don't see that in the conditions of approval as to a limiting number, unless I missed it. You know, there's 9 spaces.
There are 9
What if they
spaces.
want to have 13? I mean,
Yes, can't recall the conditions.
I
right
think that's a great comment that we can certainly integrate right now as a condition, that we condition it to have a maximum of 3 cars or not to exceed the parking, to encroach on the parking requirement of the
because
insurance
the
agency.
existing business will need a few spaces as well.
Correct, and it's
So-
based on square footage of that building. So, Efren, I think you backed into the requirement for a 1,700 square foot building, right? It was like
Yes.
4 spaces, so they have 9. So you could limit it at 5 for the business, or that way you wouldn't conflict with the
Yeah.
parking requirement.
I would support something along those lines so that since it is not specified.
Can I make a
Yes,
comment? I just want to clarify, so in Exhibit A of conditional use permit, in item number 2, it says upon approval, said conditional use permit is approved and set for the subject project site for the car rental business of no more than 3 vehicles.
mhm.
So does that satisfy?
That, as
No
I
more than
read
3?
it,
Yeah.
that it was
Oh,
there.
okay, I missed it.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for pointing that out.
I was
Mhm.
trying to wrap my head around 3, and yes, it was limited to
Okay.
3.
Thank you.
Anyone else before I open it to public comments? Seeing none, I'm now opening it to public comments. Does anyone in the chambers wish to speak to this? The applicant, is the applicant here, and would the applicant like to speak to this? All right, and do you have any other additional comments, sir? All right, okay, thank you. And Jesse, do we have anyone online that wishes to speak to this?
No, we don't have any hands
All right.
raised online.
Thank you. With that, I will close public comments, and I will entertain a motion. Or to adopt Resolution 2024-17, approving the conditional use permit application for Freedom Rent-A-Car based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval.
So
Move
moved.
adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, and may we have a roll call, please?
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes,
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
and Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is item 9C. It's a tentative parcel map time extension for a project at 219 East 8th Street. And you are busy tonight, sir. Efren
Yeah.
Sanchez will provide the information to us.
Okay. So the project we have before you is a is a 3-year time extension request for the previously approved tentative parcel map known as 219 East 8th Street, submitted by Jackie Roon. Little bit of context. So on May 24th, 2022, the City Council approved the tentative parcel map under Resolution 2022-130 to divide 0.98 acres of property into 4 residential parcels with an average size of 0.19 acres or approximately 8,200 square feet in size. On March 26, 2024, the applicant submitted their first discretionary time extension for the tentative parcel map in order to accommodate the future review of the improvement plans, satisfaction of the conditions of approval, and recordation of the final map. The final map is currently being processed by Development Engineering. The project site is located at the southeast corner of East 8th Street and South Harold Avenue. The property has a general plan land use designation of low-density residential and is zoned R1 within District 6 of the Lincoln Downtown Urban Design Plan area. So as you can see here, this is what the site currently looks like. There's already a developed, single-family residential home on it. And so that's what parcel D would be. And then you have parcel A, B, and C. So it would just subdivide this, put up lines, and to be able to sell off the individual lots. And so findings, the extension request must be reviewed by the Planning Commission, who is responsible for forwarding a recommendation to City Council in accordance with Lincoln Municipal Code Terms of Approval, Section 17.16-190. The applicant has shown a sustained effort to meet the requirements of the tentative parcel map by anticipating the time needed to subsequently process the recording of the final map. This is the first discretionary time extension request for the tentative parcel map. According to our Lincoln Municipal Code, a total of 60 years are allowed for discretionary time extensions. In the event the final map is still in process by the time the 3-year time extension is set to expire, which would be in 2027, the applicant can request for a second discretionary time extension of another 3 years. The approved map remains consistent with the applicable standards of the general plan, Title 18 zoning, and subdivision ordinance, Title 17. Well, that leads us to our recommendation. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission determine that the project qualifies for a CEQA exemption, Section 15315, minor land division, and thereby is exempt from further environmental review, and 2, adopt a resolution approving the 3-year time extension for the approved 219 East 8th Street tentative parcel map. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Before I open it up to public comments, yes, Commissioner Johnson, you have questions?
Efren, is that an alley on the right-hand side of the parcel? Or half an alley?
No, it's an existing house. It's just the developed house driveway.
It never was an alley?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It's
Anything else? Anyone else? All right, with that, I'll open it up to public comments. Is there anyone, including the applicant, that would like to speak to this item on the agenda here in chambers? Seeing none. Jesse, do we have anyone online that would like to speak to this?
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you. With that, I will close public comments, and I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And Jesse, may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
and Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. All right, the next item on our agenda is the Stardust Project, number 9D, to consider a large lot tentative map, small lot tentative subdivision map, and development agreement. And Michaela Noble will speak for the staff, for the staff information.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Michaela Noble, Assistant Planner here with the Community Development Department. Efren Sanchez, Senior Planner with the city, has also been working with me on this project, but he's obviously had enough work tonight, so I will be taking the lead on this one. We also have Adrian Graham here with Adrian Graham and Associates, who's been helping us out with the environmental work on this project, and she'll be coming up later to discuss the project as well. Development engineering has also played a significant role in reviewing this application, as they do so in all map applications that we receive. The project we have before you tonight is the Stardust Project by Beazer Homes. Tonight, we'll discuss the following items pertaining to the Stardust Project. We'll start off with the Village One specific plan background, requested entitlements, project components, staff findings, environmental determination, and staff recommendations. The Stardust Project is located within the Village One specific plan area. In 2012, the City of Lincoln adopted the Village One specific plan and general development plan for the development of over 1,800 acres for over 5,600 dwelling units and 170,000 square feet of commercial and office space. The Village One Environmental Impact Report was also certified at this time. In 2013, the city adopted an amendment to the Village One specific plan and an addendum to the EIR to address changes to the Oak Tree Lane connection to Sierra College Boulevard and the addition of an elementary school site. In 2015, over 1,700 acres of the specific plan were annexed into the city. In 2020, the city adopted an amendment to the Village One specific plan and rezone for Turkey Creek Estates. And lastly, in 2023, the city adopted another amendment to the specific plan to realign Oak Tree Lane and make minor modifications to the land use plan. The applicant, Beazer Homes, is requesting to approve a large lot tentative subdivision map and a small lot tentative subdivision map, adopt a development agreement between the city and the developer, and certify an addendum to the Village One specific plan EIR. The Planning Commission's role in this process is to provide recommendations of approval to City Council. So getting in more into the project specifics, the proposed project site consists of 77 acres within Village One. The project site is located along State Route 193 McBean Park Drive and Stardust Lane. So right here is the subject parcel. To the north, we have 193. Stardust Lane is this kind of bordering, it's the border of county lands and city lands, and then the Oak Tree Lane extension will run through the project. Other projects in Village One include the following: Esplanade at Turkey Creek, Auburn Ravine Estates, the Turkey Creek Estates, the Waterfront, Hidden Hills, and Heartland at Hidden Hills. And Stardust is oriented over here. Here is the proposed large lot tentative subdivision map for the Stardust project. The parcel is approximately 77 acres in size and is being proposed to be divided into large lots and large parcels based on varying land use areas to provide for logical development. And here is the proposed small lot tentative subdivision map for Stardust. On your guys' desk, you should have received an updated version of the small lot tentative map. A recent addition to the map is around this area. It's hard to see on the slide, but there is a little pedestrian connection that has been added in order to increase connectivity from the Stardust project to the south parcel, which is proposed to be a future park site. Now to get into specifics about the map features 302 residential lots, some open space lots, and a park and recreation lot. The residential lot sizes range from 4,500 square feet to 15,000 square feet. Oak Tree Lane will be a 2-lane road with a shared bike and NEV lane going in both directions. There will be a sidewalk along the eastern portion of Oak Tree Lane. And on the western side, bordering open space, there will be a 10-foot multi-use trail. Residential streets will be 2 lanes with sidewalks on both sides of the street. The project satisfies the city's minimum lot sizes and typical setback requirements. All lots backing up to county land are subject to higher lot dimension minimums and increased setbacks in order to create a buffer between city development and rural county lands, which you can see over here, these lot sizes look a little bit larger than the ones subject to the center of this phase. With this map, the applicant has provided an alternative site layout involving the lift station located on the northern portion of the project. If the lift station is built off-site, an alternative layout would shift the orientation of lots 210 to 213 and add a roadway that would connect to the parcel north of the subject property. The project will be required to construct Oak Tree Lane from the southern project boundary north to State Route 193. Like I previously mentioned, the proposed project provides for a total of 302 village low-density residential units within a private gated community with an HOA. Floor plans include single and 2-story homes, ranging in size from 1,800 to 3,500 square feet in size. The project includes approximately 20 acres of open space and a 2-acre park or recreation facility. As illustrated on the table above, the acreage for each land use would vary slightly from the adopted specific plan. The Village One specific plan requires adoption of a development agreement for each project, which delineates the obligations of the developer and the city. Items outlined in the DA include the construction of Oak Tree Lane, water lines, drainage, and other utilities, parks, and so on. The DA also relies on the Village One infrastructure financing plan to implement infrastructure development. The DA also vests the rights of developer to develop the project and subsequent entitlements as approved. The DA runs with the property is applicable even if the property ownership is transferred. The term of the development agreement is 20 years after the effective date, and the Planning Commission is responsible for reviewing the draft DA and providing recommendation to council. Staff analyzed the proposed entitlement requests and concluded that they're consistent with the goals, policies, and intent of the city's general plan, the adopted Village One specific plan and general development plan, and the city's subdivision ordinance. Now I'd like to invite Adrian up here to discuss the environmental information.
Thanks, Michaela. I'm Adrienne Graham, and I'm an environmental consultant working with the city on the Stardust project. I prepared the Village One specific plan EIR back in 2012, as well as the environmental documentation for the recent amendments to the specific plan last fall. The Village One specific plan EIR is a program EIR, and what that means is that at the time it was prepared, it looked at the overall impacts of the entire specific plan rather than delving into these impacts on specific sites for the most part. And it was intended and has played out that when specific projects do come forward, the city reviews them to see if they are consistent with the EIR assumptions and if they would result in any new or substantially more severe impacts than those identified in the original EIR. And that could result either from site-specific conditions that weren't anticipated in the EIR or changes that have been made to the layout of the project. In the case of Stardust, there were site-specific studies done, including biological resource and cultural resource surveys, and none of those studies indicated that there would be any impacts that weren't anticipated in the original EIR. In addition to that, as one of the earlier slides showed, there were some slight differences in the layout of the site plan versus what had been anticipated in the EIR, but those were minor. And again, we looked at those and didn't find any new or more significant EIR impacts. Also, we did not have to modify any mitigation measures to accommodate the project. So for those reasons, it's appropriate to adopt an addendum for the project, recognizing that the original EIR does adequately address the impacts. The addendum explains why that's the case, and it's attached to your staff report. So I'd be happy to answer any questions when the presentation is complete. Or one.
I wasn't able to see anywhere in the documents we received if this project meets or exceeds our 40% open space requirement. Did I miss it?
So the 40% open space requirement applies to the specific plan as a whole. And this project, a couple things have happened. When we did the amendment in 2023, that actually increased the amount of open space a bit over what had been originally assumed. So that the specific plan as a whole had a open space, met 40.5% of the specific plan as a whole was open space. In the case of the Stardust project, it reduces by 0.13 acres the actual village open space designation, but it increases the amount of village park and recreation and landscape corridor. So all of those go into the 40%. So it actually increases by a very small amount, an acre or so, the amount of acreage that would apply to that 40%. So yes, the project maintains the 40% plan-wide.
I'm sure the golf course plays a major role in that 40%.
It is included in the 40% as well.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner Gilbert?
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't wavering from what has been the standing model for many, many years in the community. And, you know, having financed developers over the years, I know they hate to give up that, but we require it in this city, and it served us very, very well. And I just didn't want us to waver from it.
No, I
Thank
agree.
you.
Thank you. Anything else for the consultant before we have the report finished?
I'd like to ask
Yes.
staff something, but not, I don't know, at some appropriate time.
Michaela, do you have other comments?
Still got the rest of the presentation to get
That's
through.
what I thought.
Couple more.
That's
Be
what I
patient.
thought.
Thank you. Thanks, Adrian. City staff has prepared draft conditions of approval for the large lot and small lot tentative subdivision maps to ensure orderly and timely implementation of the project. Standard and project-specific conditions have been applied. As I previously mentioned, engineering plays a key role in reviewing map application, and this takes the form of project-specific conditions. The conditions of approval also include all applicable mitigation measures from the Village 1 specific plan EIR. All conditions will be subject to verification of compliance by city departments at the appropriate times prior to moving forward. Staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt a resolution recommending City Council adopt the proposed addendum to the certified 2012 Village 1 specific plan EIR, adopt a resolution recommending City Council approve the large lot tentative subdivision map, and adopt the resolution recommending City Council approve the small lot tentative subdivision map. And lastly, adopt a resolution recommending City Council approve the development agreement. And if you have any questions, I'm here as well as the applicant team, and Adrian's here as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I open it to my colleagues for questions, I did have a comment that I want to make, and I want to say thank you to staff for the thorough, detailed information, the documentation that you provided to us. I was very, very appreciative. I was appreciative of your time last week to discuss this too. And I would think that a couple of my colleagues who do want more detail were very happy to see that. So again, I just wanted publicly on the record to say thank you. And with that, do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Um, yeah, so just a couple questions. So the update on this, tentative subdivision map is basically that gate connector on the southwest.
Correct. Nothing else has been altered from the map that you received as part of
Okay.
the staff report.
And is that gate, I guess, locked, or is it only for residents of that community going in and out?
Yeah, so it won't be accessible by the public to go in. The plan is, since there's no park development at the moment, that's been proposed, there will be a fence there for the meantime until that park is developed to where it would be swapped out to a gate to allow the Stardust residents to go into the park. But
Perfect.
public could not go in.
Okay, perfect. I think that was great to add some accessibility in there. So that's awesome. The other thing I guess I have some questions about, we have a letter on our desk was provided from Western Placer Unified School District. I know on the bottom there, the district is requesting us to put some conditions of, the contracts in there. This was dated March 22nd, so I'm just curious, have there been any updates on that?
So we received that initially as part of the project review. The school district has the opportunity to provide comments. This was the letter we received, and city attorney reached out to their team, and she can kind of take it from there.
Sure, thanks.
I've spoken to counsel for the district and was advised that this is essentially their standard letter that they send in response to notification of a project when there is not a separate agreement that is reached. For the commission's information, there are statutory requirements for the fees that have to be paid by the developer. The request by the district is for an agreement that the developer pay fees in excess of what is statutorily required. The city has not traditionally sort of worked at the behest of the school district to impose additional requirements upon the developer that are not otherwise required by statute.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that kind of answered some of my questions. I was curious about that piece. So if I understand, this request is in excess of what they statutorily, okay? And that statutory amount, is that, I'm just looking through the developer agreement. I know Exhibit 1 talks about exactions applicable to the project, and it does have under county and regional fees, Western Placer Unified School District. Is that piece that's already kind of?
Correct. And the way it
door.
works is that the developer is required to pay those fees to Western Placer Unified School District, and the city will not issue permits until and unless receipt is provided evidencing payment of those fees.
Okay. So it sounds like this request is kind of out of the ordinary of what the city normally has done or approved.
We have
or-
not, to my knowledge, received such a notification in the past on any project. Again, I was told that it's their standard response. I don't know to whom because it wasn't to the city. It was a bit surprising when we received it, but I did respond in writing and had a communication with their legal counsel and advised that it has not been the city's practice to hold up a project based on a request that the developer go in and make further negotiations with the district.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson?
Just to follow up on that, is this because the required development fee for school districts is only provides for temporary school housing and not a permanent facility? Is that what the school district is concerned about?
I don't know the specific details of what the school's budgetary constraints or concerns are. Tangentially, it's just essentially been told in total, they don't believe that the fees that are required by statute are sufficient enough for them to provide the facilities that are necessary to provide what is necessary for the occupants of these developments. The city has been working sort of on a parallel path with the district, particularly related to this village on joint facility use concepts that would then reduce the cost necessary to the district in order to construct particularly their recreational facilities and those types of things that are attendant to school facilities. But again, The specific budgetary constraints that the district is facing, we don't delve into their finances in that great of detail.
If I could change course here for a minute. It's a little difficult, for me at least, to look at for example, the circulation element with this limited piece. But perhaps you could describe how the trail system, at least through this element, this neighborhood, how the trail system works.
Sure, absolutely. So,
Just, I noticed that there's a dotted line kind of in the middle there.
yeah.
And maybe you could explain what that is too.
Yeah, so I'll start off with the dotted line. So these are kind of the quote unquote phasing of the project.
Oh.
The large lot map, these kind of follow those parcels that are divided to where those are 3 separate large lots that'll be split, and it's just kind of being a helpful guide to kind of show that separation.
I was hoping that was a trail that went through.
No, unfortunately not. So the trail in this northern open space is kind of this caterpillar-like shape, coming down from Oak Tree Lane and connecting to the open space that'll be to the west, which I'll bring up the pedestrian circulation plan as well. Just give me a moment. So that'll kind of cover that open space. Like I mentioned in the presentation, this western sidewalk is a 10-foot multi-use trail that borders the open space to where it has prime access and visibility to open space. So it's partners as a sidewalk and as a trail. Let me pull up the circulation plan to see how it connects. Here we go. Here we go. So just to orient you, this kind of upside down L-shaped parcel right here is Stardust. This green trail right here signifies the connection of the trail spaces through open space across Village 1, which the trail that has been put into the tentative map satisfies this. It might not look that way. It's conceptual, but the trail is there. It'll connect obviously to the bordering open space to the west. However, those parcels haven't been developed yet, so I can't say for certain how the trails will look like when that time comes. In regards to the southern direction of the project, this sidewalk connection in orange is the 10-foot multi-use trail, which connects south, and it'll go along Oak Tree Lane and connect into these open space areas and neighborhoods to the south. However, those projects have not been submitted yet for an application, so I can't tell you how those trails will look like.
Is there any provision or thought given to connecting the trail to Sierra College?
That has not been contemplated with the most recent amendment of the specific plan.
I would just point out that Sierra College is a high-frequency bike use thing.
That would entail going into the county,
Uh-huh.
out of the city, so that's kind of beyond our scope right now.
But if there was a revision made to get it there, perhaps the city and county could work together on that in the future. But, yeah.
Yes,
please.
interesting comment. Anyone else on the commission that has a question or a comment before I open it to public comments?
I just still,
Eklund?
yeah, I just want to go back to the letter. So the part that was confusing to me was where it states that they have not executed a Village 1 agreement. But that means that they did meet the agreement. You're saying that it's not the excess that they're referring to when they said they did not reach an agreement.
There is no statutorily required agreement. The developer is required to pay the fees that are required by statute.
Right.
What they are asking for is a written agreement whereby the developer agrees to pay certain fees negotiated in excess of what is statutorily required.
Okay. I get it now.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, before I open it up to public comment, I had a question regarding the park. Yep. Now, as I understand it, there will be fees that are paid for the park, but will the park be constructed, built, well, however you do it, before the developer leaves? I'd hate to have the situation happen like happened can't think of the development west of me, anyway, where by the time we got around to having the parks built, it had become so expensive, and it was, yes, the prices had escalated, and I would hate to see that happen in this project. Parks are very, very important, and of course, they are also part of our 40% requirement. So can you elaborate a little bit on our park?
Yeah, so the park facility is a private facility. If it's developed as a private community, that's what the assumption is, to where it'll be built by the developer and maintained by the HOA. If that's the case, that should be no problem. That's a drawing factor to the neighborhood. In regards to kind of the park credit situation, if they don't develop, if that is not a public park, then the credits, they'd have to pay a fee rather than the acreage being assigned to a public park. But I'm not sure if there's a condition stating that the park needs to be built at a certain time if it were to be a public community. But it would be developer funded. It's a developer park. That's a requirement with Village One.
Thank you very much. Also, again, before I open it to public comments, thank you again on the conditions of approval of double asterisking those items that pertained just to each of the projects. It was very helpful. And with that, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Reedy.
So I wanted to just clarify. So she was talking about the thing that's designated recreation in the south,
Right.
northeast of the, what about the more community park that's to the south? We've been trending towards having developers build it, but Village One's complicated because there are lots of developers. Is there anything that you can say publicly about whether we're going to end up building that park, or there's a developer who owns it's going to build it? And if so, what if any timelines are we aware of regarding that?
You're talking about the parcel that's south of the
Yes.
project highlighted here?
Yeah.
So
Not the one that's potentially a private clubhouse, but.
Right. So the parcel to the south is not part of this project. It's owned by Level. So we have no plans right now as to when and how that's going to be developed. Hasn't been contemplated and cannot be contemplated with this project as it's not part of the same property owner.
Right.
But yeah, I have no information that I can give you about what the plans are for that park since
But
we haven't received anything.
But it's part of Level.
Correct, and we have had a preliminary meeting with them. They're looking to submit in the next few months, so we'll know more then.
Thank you.
All right, anything else before public comments? All right,
Okay.
hearing none, I will now be opening it to public comments. Yes, if you would please come to the podium, state your name, and then please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Joe Varman. First, let me start by saying that Stardust Lane is a very small street with 4 homes and then a rehab facility with low traffic. In the amendments that were done to these plans in September 26 of 2023, any proposed roadways to Stardust Lane were removed with the Oak Tree extension, because I think we recognize that all those people coming up Oak Tree to 193 can't have an access from Oak Tree onto Stardust, which is a privately maintained road outside of city limits. So I just want to be clear because I can't see on the map, I'm sorry, the slide was too fuzzy, but there is a road that goes all the way to the edge of Stardust Lane, and I just have to be assured that this is not a roadway for vehicles. This is only access to this home, and this is not a gate that people are going to be able to drive through out of these 75 or so homes. Yes, I have lots of comments if that is a roadway, and if it's not, if it's just for them, I have no comments. So, thank you.
Would you like to comment to that, Michaela?
Yeah, that is an EVA lane, an emergency vehicle access. So that gate is only accessible by the fire department and it will not be used for any residents to drive through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
This is Ina Miller. She is the applicant with Beezer Homes and
Thank
she
you.
has a couple items to talk about.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Good evening, members of the commission. Thank you very much for an amazing presentation, Michaela. Honestly, I don't have a lot to add. I just wanted to thank the city staff, planning, engineering team for working so hard on this project. We're more than excited to get going on it and build a fantastic community in the city of Lincoln. Specifically, I would like to thank Michaela Noble and Adrian Graham for working so hard on this community. If you have any questions, we have Tony Frazier with Frazier Design Group, our engineer. Let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
And Tony, yes.
Who's Tony?
I don't know. Well, I want to start by thanking the commissioner tonight, and I want to, compliment what Ina mentioned. I know that we've been working with Lincoln new staff team that was excellent. This project I started on since 2007 with general plan, specific plan amendment, to see it all the way through to the end of map, and working with a really zealous team. And as you can see from her presentation, she's really a powerful engine that we appreciate, but also an extent to Sean, Vin, SP, Adrian, Efren, and Christian and Christina. Everybody, and some are not here. This project took a lot of effort to work together. A lot of, I wouldn't say moving part, but still, it's new to everybody. Some of us get frustrated sometimes because it's been a process for 20-some years, but some, it's a new project. So we really appreciate all the hard work that went in it. I cannot add anything to the presentation she put. It was so complete. But I want to add a couple points. One is a trail on the east side. I know that Jerry likes trail and connectivity, and I think that was added for Jerry because the specific plan doesn't have the exhibit that you saw was just a sidewalk connection. So it wasn't a trail. So we modified it. Staff worked with the team, and the team didn't have problem changing the sidewalk from 6 feet to 10 foot to be multi-trail. That provided nice connectivity. And that, we're working on the level on south, so that will continue. Another one that it was brought up about connection to Sierra College. Obviously, we went through the whole amendment that we couldn't go to Sierra College through the eastern side. However, there's opportunities as we go through the level. If we don't have any environmental issues and anything like that, there's an easement at the edge of the boundaries that takes us to the trail on 12 bridges. So with that connection is very much feasible to connect to that public trail, and then you have route to continue. So that is a plan that hopefully we can implement, but the goal is to try to make it happen. As far as the parks in general in Village 1, Village 1 allows the fees to be collected for construction in Village 1. So as developers move forward, if there's deficient parks on their side, they're supposed to be paying fees for the specific plan, finance plan, and that fee goes to a pod that can help build parks on other development that building larger parks than what they need. So there's a mechanism that's called finance plan for infrastructure for Village 1 that takes care of all of that. So the idea is to implement what council said. Basically, the parks will be built besides the regional park. All the small parks will be built on site by either fees being collected to build it or by the individual project that they're building on. But again, I appreciate everybody here. I know that we have a big team and teams that couldn't be here, and everyone worked hard to make us happy to be here and get to hopefully its finish line soon. And we're looking forward to seeing the project build very soon and give access to Turkey Creek down south and start building the southern portion of Village 1. So thank you very much, and looking forward to yes approval.
Could I ask
Commissioner Johnson.
Tony? Forgive me, I have to ask this question. Did you consider putting alleys in?
For a project like this, alleys typically we do in medium density residential, those where they belong. And I know that, I'll be, I'm always frank, that's why I talk from my heart. Village 7, I believe, had alleys, and they had struggled with some of them, my understanding, because, certain projects, certain type, because the goal is to build and make it happen, and you cannot build project that cannot sell. The community cannot build. So certain places, opportunity are open more for medium density kind of setup, higher density where you have individual homes. But in a traditional low-density, alleys are not favored by, at least as far as.
How about side-loaded garages?
Well, side-loaded garages, I'll give it to Ina, but the idea is to do them. A lot of people don't really think about this, as engineer, planner, we think about all these things. To have a side-loaded garage, you need, besides where you enter, you need another about 10 to 15 feet extension. So
Because we're
when
right
you
here.
back up, you're not hitting fences. So it's not feasible on traditional lots, but they are great, and we do them when we have larger lots, 100-foot wide lots, then those becomes commodity to have side-loaded garages. That's at least
All
my
goes back
understanding.
to what
Yeah.
will sell,
Mhm.
of course, and
And-
if you're going to build it, you want to sell it.
And honestly, one time I was trying, before this house I'm living in, I was trying to look at a house for side-loaded, and I tried to park and if they didn't provide that, and it was a big house, it's like I couldn't do it because I know somebody's gonna hit the fence next day, so that's critical to have room, and you cannot meet densities and do all these things and have another 15 feet on the side for a car to back up.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Do we have anyone online that would like to speak to this project, Jesse?
No, there are no hands raised online.
All right. With that, I will close public comments and bring it back to the commission. Do we have any other questions or comments before I call for the motions? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Tony, thanks for providing some more info on the trails and connectivity. And I just want to second what Commissioner Jerry Johnson kind of threw out there, kind of the vision of connectivity. If there's any way possible to get creative with working with the county to connect to Sierra College, I know that'd be a pretty popular connection going through there to be able to come in. And then I even like, Tony's suggestion, kind of looking at the southern part. I think the more connectivity we can make is just going to be the better.
Yeah, I would just respond and say that the message has been received. And we planted the seed with Tony for that southern parcel already. So, yeah, we're hearing you and we're trying to work it in there, so.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Eklund?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that I was really happy to see the update with the temporary easement that at least gives them, or sorry, the gate gives them the opportunity if they want to in the future without taking that away or taking away the possibility for future access. So I really appreciate that. And I feel like that was what I was hoping to see. So thank you.
Anyone, Commissioner Reedy, do you have any comments?
Yep. I wanted to echo your comment earlier about the early information. I did appreciate it. Thank you. And the applicant was very helpful answering some of my questions and concerns earlier, and I support the project and second the idea that providing that south easement is a great addition and change.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Gilbert, anything else? All right. Before we bring it to our resolutions, and I believe we have 4 of them, I just wanted to echo something. I had the great pleasure of meeting with Michaela last week because I had some questions. I also talked through email with Tony. I have found the staff always to be very, very open to any concerns, any specificity that is out there, especially with garages and trails and so forth, that it would be really great to take that time and contact the city because it certainly has helped make a smoother meeting. All right, and with that, I would like to entertain some motions. I understand there are 4 of them and would have to be taken individually, do they not? All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-19?
So moved.
Second, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
and Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. And motion carried unanimously. The next resolution is Resolution 2024-20, the approval of a large lot tentative map. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
and Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. Motion approved unanimously. Next resolution is Resolution number 2024-21, recommending City Council approval of a small lot tentative map. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Vice Chairman Gilbert,
Yes.
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
and Chair Hutchinson.
Yes. And the resolution passes 7-0. The next motion is resolution number, or the next resolution is number 2024-22. And do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Reedy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jerry Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney. Oh, yes.
Only get to vote once.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, darn.
No matter how much you like a project, you can only vote once.
Yeah.
Vice Chairman Gilbert
Yes.
and Chair Hutchinson.
Yes, all right. And motion passes 7-0. All right, thank you all. The next item on our agenda is general business. Do we have any general business this evening? Seeing none. Do we have any commissioner comments this evening? I will start with Commissioner Reedy.
I'll just make a brief comment that echoes what you said earlier about the staff reports. I thought all the staff reports were well-written, and I feel like they were much more comprehensive. And so I just wanted to thank the staff and everybody for the detail on all of the staff reports tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert?
Yes, I'd like to thank the staff as well for excellent presentations tonight. And I'd also like to thank our chair for running a great meeting with a lot of meat in it tonight, and we're done at 7:30. So you're my heroine tonight.
Thank you. And Commissioner Eklund?
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Eric Johnson? Commissioner Jerry Johnson?
I'd like to just throw something out to have people think about. And that's the so-called new urbanism kind of planning thought that went into the general plan. It's probably, most people haven't seen what that looks like. And I'd like you to think about a possible field trip to look at like Hercules or any number of other communities that have tried these kinds of concepts that, we've talked about that are nice to have or should be, but aren't. My thought.
Thank you. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Adjourned. Wow.
Done.